Another thing I saw in those leaks was the talks of the number of casualties between Ukraine and Russia, and I don't know if you saw that as well. And do you take the numbers
Yeah.
that were in the leaks? I believe in the leaks it said around 71,000 on the Ukrainian side casualties, and then Russian side 16,000 to 17,500.
Yeah,
Now,
that's a fake number. That's the
yeah,
that's the manipulated number. That's not the real one. The real one was, I believe the real one was they wrote around like 76,000 for the Russian side, and then the Ukrainian side was like 60 something. Let me check my information. So because I'm trying to collect all this data, all these papers as well.
hmm
So the thing the number was, let me check. Which one was it? Sorry guys, if you are on podcast. So I will just talk about something while I'm trying to search the numbers. Yeah, the one that you saw was the fake one, where they say
hmm
that there was a 16,000 to 17.5 thousand KIA. I
hmm
think that's the wrong one because they wrote that the Russians only lost seven fighter aircraft. That's clearly wrong. That's the manipulated one. Where's the other one? Um,
and I
so sorry,
even
podcast.
no, I even saw that the Pentagon had released numbers saying that there was like close to quarter of a million, 200,000 Russian casualties, which seems like way too much. But just upon like my limited knowledge, that just seems like quite a bit. Even though I know Russia has a big military, so just from sheer numbers, but
Oh, I found the corrected one
mhm,
is 35.5 to 43.5 thousand KIA for the Russian side. So 72 fighter or bombers, 82 helicopters, then 6,004 ground vehicles. So the Ukrainian side they wrote is that they lost only 16,000 to 17.5 thousand. So they are saying the Russians are lost three times more. And then the Ukrainians say that they lost 60,000, 60 aircraft, 32 helicopters, then 11 SAM, 34 tactical SAM, which is like impossible. They definitely lost more than that.
mhm.
So so but as usual, be on Twitter, on my channel, anywhere, I always tell people not to care that much about the casualty numbers, especially when the Ukrainians talking about Russian casualties or the Russians talking about Ukrainian casualties. They can't possibly know the real casualty numbers because if you drop a bomb, the entire body can just disintegrate. It can just explode into pieces, and then you can never find a body ever again. How are you going to count? They are just projecting. They always have this projection, of course, because based on the troop intels, the information, the reports that is submitted from the troops on the ground, then they do some estimates because that allows them to do war planning. But these numbers are always not accurate. Like I said, intel is just a signal, so it's not really the facts. You do not know the facts. So the only thing that they can know is their own casualty numbers. The Russians will always know their own casualty numbers. The Ukrainians will always know their casualty numbers. The Because once you lose contact with your troops, they can be AWOL. They can be like disappear. They can surrender. They can miss, so they're MIA, missing in action. They can be uh they just surrender. So basically that's missing in action as well. They can be killed off, and then you just lost contact. So only you know how much troops that you can still command. Because the units on the ground will actually always report on their SITREP, the situation report, saying how many troops are still intact in their unit, how many troops has been lost or they lost contact with. So but even that, the Ukrainians will never tell the truth to the allies, because why would they do that? Because if you tell them that, oh, we actually lost 120,000 troops or 200,000, 250,000 troops, the probably most likely where I estimate the real number is over 100,000 to 250,000, because it's been a long time. The last time I say they lost 100,000 was like half a year ago. So they probably already lost more than that because the Russians now attacking with the mobilized troops. So the war is a lot more intense than it was half a year ago. So the they cannot admit the truth because if they admit the truth, the allies would, especially if you look at the papers, the information was that they are being shared with so many different countries. So all these different countries, their military leaders, their generals, the Ministry of Defense, when they read, and it was like they will get demoralized. Like how do we help Ukraine when Ukraine is losing, or losing so badly? So the numbers of the Russians losing 3 times more, then they're like, oh, you see, the Ukrainians are doing very well. We need to feed them more ammunition and weapons so that they can fight better. That makes sense, and that's probably why we are hearing the narrative or the way how the Western leaders put it. They always like very bullish about their chances. Is probably because of these reports. They react and they think that stupid Russians. No, they can't even beat the Ukrainians. You're gonna feed them more weapons. But the reality on the ground might actually be very different. The casualty numbers easily will be 10 times that of what there was written there by the Ukraine by this on this paper. Because if the Ukrainians reported that they only lost 20,000 troops, the Americans are not going to put their own estimates there because they are not going to piss off the Ukrainians because ultimately they are all friends and allies, right? So they have to take their numbers and take their words for it. Similarly, the Ukrainians say, "Oh, Bucha massacre." All the Western countries will have to agree that that happened, even though maybe in their mind they don't believe it's real, but they have to play along because they are now all part of the same team. And that's actually very dangerous because if there's no pushback, then the Ukrainians can do whatever they want, say whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so this is what we see. And that will actually have a consequence in terms of the war. Like just like these casualty numbers, if the US do not have the proper estimates, then all the allies will be making decisions based on wrong information, and then they'll be making a bad information.